Those really old kind of heirloom techniques, I'm quite inspired by antique textiles and old sewing techniques like the smocking. I was inspired by my nana who had made that little dress that I've got hanging on the rack there. She made that for me for a christening gown, and I thought this like hand stitching is so beautiful, but I feel like I only see it in children's wear. I feel like it could be made in women's wear as well.
To the fabric store.
How's my hair looking?
Good, actually. I think Steph's painting the sign in the window. Look cute. Alright, let's go in.
Here we go.
Hello!
Woohoo! So good, Steph. What are the colours? Are you going to put colour or you're not sure yet? Yeah, okay, yeah.
We're both wearing running shoes. We're both wearing running shoes. We're both wearing big skirts. We've both got a fringe and brown hair.
I know. It's so
You always give me presents, so I have to give you something back.
Aww. Oh my god. Oh, I actually really love it.
Nice.
That's so cute. I like how you've done it like just to here and then change.
Well, I didn't have enough these, so.
I like it.
They're all,
It's like
they're all second hand, so that's all that there was.
That's not really good.
set up his stuff.
Alrighty, how you feeling? It's gonna be a fun night.
Yeah, just dropped off the dresses and smocking pleater. Saw Daisy and the other girls from New Zealand. And so now we're just gonna go, what is the time? 2:40. So we'll go maybe get a little bit something to eat, get dressed for tonight, and then we'll come back about 5.
Awesome.
Heading over to the fabric store now for the fabric store event. And Daisy's already there. So it starts in about 15-20 minutes.
Yep.
So just going to get there a little bit earlier and just settle in, and yeah, excited.
Should be fun. Here we go. Oh.
You guys,
Thanks for having us.
Both ex-staff members of the fabric store.
Yeah.
They're so nice.
Very
So
full
nice.
circle.
Yeah.
Totally.
Nice to have you back. Melody brought in some of her smocked dresses, which are at the back in her smocking machine, if you want to go and have a look at that afterwards. and a beautiful little dress which Melody just told me that she did wear as a child, that your grandmother made, right?
Yes, yeah.
So please go and have a look at that. And then if you'd also like to do some crafting, we're making a community quilt. Maybe Melody, you can kick it off. Could you give a brief introduction to who you are and what you do?
Sure. Hello, I'm Melody. I am 30 years old and also 30 weeks pregnant, as you might be able to tell. I live in Adelaide with my husband Chris, who's over there taking content. And I do sewing content and also have Soften Studio, which is sewing patterns. So that's a little me in a nutshell.
And Daisy, go for it.
Hello, I'm Daisy, and I'm from the Gold Coast, which is Yugambeh country. And I am, what am I? I'm a content creator, and I make content about sewing and crafting, and I love all kinds of crafting. And a couple of years ago, 2 years ago now, I had a book published called Sew It Yourself. So I'm also an author now, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so we both worked at the fabric store, and I used to work, I kind of did what you do.
Yeah.
In the head office in Auckland, and that kind of sparked my sewing. So that's where I started DIY Daisy.
Tell us what led you to sewing, and where you are today, where you are on your journey in sewing. Yeah, you can go back and forth.
Yeah, so it's definitely been quite a bit of a journey to get to this point now. Growing up, I loved making things, but I didn't actually learn how to sew until I studied fashion after school at TAFE. I studied there for 2 years, and that gave me a really good foundation. After I graduated, I didn't quite know what I would do, but I always used to say to myself, if I get nothing out of this besides being able to sew things myself, like that is the goal and I'm happy with that. But when I graduated and did my graduate collection, I was approached by a store to stock my graduate collection in their store. So I thought, all right, well, this is what I'll do, I guess. And so that kind of led me down a path of doing made to order fashion, like design stuff that I was doing. And then after that, I had been doing made to order for quite a while, and I also studied graphic design in that time. Then in 2020, Chris and we relocated to Adelaide from Brisbane. We were living in Brisbane. And I was also working at the fabric store in Brisbane, and a job opportunity came up for Chris and also then myself to work at the Adelaide store as the 2IC. I decided to step away from made to order clothing for a while and doing my own label. We decided, let's start a YouTube channel to document some of the things that I wanted to make for myself. And so we started learning how to make videos because I wanted to get back to making things that I wanted to make for me after feeling a bit burnt out from doing the made to order stuff. And then people started asking when I was posting about, I made this dress or pillows or just things I was making for myself. People were asking, oh, do you have a pattern for that dress? Or and I was like, no, but yeah, that's a good idea actually. And like working at the fabric store as well, like I kind of knew a bit about like the sewing community and stuff like that, which I hadn't known previously after just like studying fashion. It's more about you're either in the industry or trying to do your own label or things like that, but working at the fabric store opened me up to being more part of the sewing community. So then I went on a journey of finding out how to make that a reality. It took like 8 months in the process. And then, so that kind of like, then I started Soften Studio, which is different to what I was doing before, just under my name. And then Soften Studio became, Soften Studio Sewing Patterns, and
Amazing.
That's kind of, a little bit of my journey.
A sub question.
Yeah.
What is your most popular pattern right now?
I would say the clow-by skirt. Yeah. I don't know if you can.
No surprises there.
I don't know. There's a couple that I've seen. Yeah. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
I love learning more about your story. I feel like I've told mine so many times now, and I'm like, surely everybody knows. But,
Hey, tell us.
so I sewed as a kid. Like I've always been very DIY. My grandmother Rosebud, who from New Zealand, she was a quilter and a seamstress. So I'd always seen someone sewing. And then her daughter, who's my auntie Caroline, she's a plus size designer in New Zealand and in Auckland as well. And she would always send me remnants when I was a kid, and I would always make up the most hideous like things. I don't know how some of them were probably okay, but some of them were like, whoa, she's really wearing that out. So yeah, that's how I sort of learned, and I absolutely destroyed my other grandma's sewing machine that mum and dad said, here, like have this as a creative outlet. And so yeah, I sewed as a little kid, but I sort of forgot about it as I went to uni. And then I moved to New Zealand and I got a job at the fabric store, and I probably lied actually in my interview saying like, I really know how to sew. I did not know how to sew. Like I could not sew again. But as soon as I walked in, I was like totally like, whoa, Liberty Tunnel Lawn. I love this stuff. And I was absolutely obsessed. And everyone else that I was working with was sewing. So I was like, okay, I've got to learn how to sew again. So I went and bought a sewing machine, and I cut out this ruffle sleeved gingham thing. And I was like completely hooked again. So I was doing the social media person at the fabric store, and that was when I discovered the sewing community as well. And I was like, wow, these people, like, there's so many of them, and this is amazing. And everyone was so supportive. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have a crack, and I'm going to start sharing what I make. So I started sharing and seeing how everyone connected, and it was really, really cool. And then I left the fabric store, went to Japan, and kept doing DIY Daisy as a blog and just a way to connect and share. And I actually met heaps of people throughout the journey, like who lived in Japan or who were traveling and visiting, and back in Brisbane. So it just became a thing that I did. And then I started sharing some tutorials, some free resources, because I was like, okay, if I'm gonna like be in this community, I'm gonna give something out to everyone, and then hopefully, you hope something will come back from it. And then in 2020 maybe, or 2021, I got an email from Hardy Grant, and they said, would you like to write a book about sewing? And I was like, yeah. So I did. And so that came out 2 years ago now, which is pretty cool. And that's what I do now.
What's your favourite part of Soften Studio?
Definitely seeing the patterns on the people that make them. Yeah. And tonight is just like, is a special reminder, because often what I do is like online, and I communicate with people like online, but being in person is like a whole nother realization. This is so cool to like have something that connects us. And so that's definitely a pretty special part of the process. And also the design part as well. Like I love the design and the concept, and like I love all of that kind of stuff. And then after all of that fun stuff's done, and then the work begins. There's mundane parts to it, obviously, like any job. There's good parts and bad parts, but there's a lot of good parts as well that I appreciate.
Where are you drawing inspiration from at the moment?
Well, last year we took a trip to Japan and Korea, which was like a 10-year dream that I'd been wanting to visit. And I find, there's a lot of inspiration from the simplicity of like Japanese design. When I was studying fashion, I discovered that's kind of where I started discovering more Japanese design, because everyone had to pick a name off the board, and I picked a random name that I'd never heard of this designer. It was Rei Kawakabu, who is the founder of Comme des Garçons. And so that led me down a road of just Japanese designers and stuff. So that was a really big point of inspiration, and being able to go like last year was really cool. Antique textiles and old sewing techniques like the smocking. I was inspired by my nana, who had made that little dress that I've got hanging on the rack there. She made that for me for a christening gown, and I thought, this like hand stitching is so beautiful, but I feel like I only see it in children's wear. I feel like it could be made in women's wear as well, and old quilts and hand stitching. So those really old kind of heirloom techniques I'm quite inspired by.
Daisy, this one's for you. Do you find yourself in creative ruts, and does the need to share or how you feel about needing to share online what you do interfere with your creative process, or does it actually drive it, do you think?
I think the best thing about social media is that it's like you get this little, maybe it could be an angel or it's a devil or it's just someone else to bounce ideas off of. So like I was saying to a few people tonight, like I live on the Gold Coast, but a lot of the sewing community is in Brisbane. So I don't really have anyone that's like nearby that I can just be like, hey, do you like this fabric? Like, what do you think about this? So I guess I just have always, as part of my process, gone to social media and asking questions. And that's like, on one hand, if you want to be a content creator, that's one way to get engagement because you just ask people to tell you their opinion. But also you get so much out of it in that sense. Like, it's definitely part of my process to talk to the community, and whether or not I know those people in real life or I don't, people love to share what they're thinking, and it's really great to also learn other ways and get different opinions. So it's part of my process now to share.
Great.
I guess I kind of have to. I have no choice. Yeah, got to keep that content coming.
Awesome. Outside of creating, designing and sewing, what else fills your cup?
A lot of my mental capacity is taken up with creating and sewing, designing, and I think it was only last year, maybe 2 years ago, which I started taking up a new hobby, which was completely different, which is running. What I loved about it was just so different from always being in my head and always creating. It was something that could bring me back into my body and just put one foot in front of the other, and I could just have like a different part of me, discover a different part. And I ended up and my husband and I do it a lot together, and I ended up training for my first marathon for my 30th birthday, and then a month later we found out we were pregnant. So I like built my running up, and now it's like it's on the way down. But yeah, and also just Chris and I, we try to take a Sabbath day, like a full rest day off once a week, and just not feeling like always got to constantly be creating and making and sharing and stuff, just to have like a designated day where you just allow yourself to be, and not have to do anything.
I need that too.
I wish mine was running, but mine's actually yoga.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. I've never felt so much clarity. Like the ideas that would come to me while I was like thinking about projects while I was doing yoga, but also like this forced time to just breathe, and someone like guiding you through breathing. I've never breathed so deeply or like clearly, and then I'd come out of the class and be like, all right, let's go sew, or like let's go make something. But I needed that time of going like stop making, stop doing any work, and just like go and do something for your body. And I really like it.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I do too.
Yeah,
That's good.
What has been the biggest learning curve in your career so far?
Cliche as it sounds, is to trust the process, because I think when I was trying to discover what I was going to do, or where I was going to be at, and studying fashion and just being a creative person in general, it's not really a linear path. And I studied, like I mentioned, studied fashion, studied graphic design, and worked at the fabric store, and just had all these different like experiences. But I was like, what am I gonna do and be and things. And I think I spent a lot of my early 20s really frustrated with that question. And I think now, only looking back, I can go, all of those experiences and everything I studied and every job I had and opportunity I had did actually like lead me to where I'm supposed to be. But it's only been in the more recent years that I've kind of been able to look back and realize that. And then the other thing would be, anything that you struggle with in your personal life will come also in your business life as well. So trying to, I guess, like whether that be like disorganized or like whether that's like, self-doubt or just different things, like it's going to show up anywhere. So being able to just realize that and try to find some healing in those areas.
Are there any other skills that you're excited to learn at the moment, or are you enjoying where you're at? You can go.
I love beads right now.
Yeah.
Loving making necklaces and just making something that's not clothes, because as I was saying, like with that balance is going, I don't need any new clothes, so where else can I express my creativity? So I've been loving that. And I also, with the hexi quilting, I don't know if you saw my hexi quilt, but I'm working on it, but I'm loving stitching these hexagons together. It's really satisfying, and using them in different ways. So like last year I applied them do just some fabric squares kind of like they are over there. And now I kind of want to do it again, but October is coming up, so I'm going to be doing that again. But yeah, just like needle tone applique was very satisfying and a really great way to use up my scraps. So I'm excited to do a bit more of that and do some more like small hand skills. It's like a bit different than just going zzz.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you're going to do Peachtober. Peachtober?
Yeah, I'm going to do Peachtober again.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
That's amazing. I think a little bit similar as well, like stepping away from the sewing machine and doing some more like hand stitching projects, and I guess like being able to have a project that's transportable, like I can take to the park or like I can take to the couch or just things like that, and just like, some slow stitching. And also I want to make a baby quilt, so I've never really made a proper quilt before, so I'm like, oh, that's something that
Got 10
I'm
weeks.
excited to do.
Where do you, like, how do you pick your pattern names? Because you've got Chloe, you've got, no, I'm curious because then also you have another name that you need to use soon. So like, you got a lot of, how do you decide? Is it a friend or is it like a?
I mean, at the start, I had the Aura Pinafore and the Rue Blouse, and they're just names that I really liked.
They're all 3 letters.
I know.
And then, they all, they are. And then it kind of started to have a pattern. And some of them do have specific references, like the Addie dress was the first dress I made when I moved to Adelaide. So it's like the Addie dress. And then the day dress was...
Short for Daisy? No.
I was like, that pattern came out of inspiration when I was in Korea and in a special
like
area. Like day. So yes. And so some of them have a bit more like meaning, and then some of them like, what's a 3-letter name that hasn't been taken that I can hashtag?
Love it.
So there's a bit of both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So nice.
Thank you.
Woohoo!
Guys, where are we going for dinner?
We're going to Odd Culture.
Oh, fancy.
Everything is fermented, even the beer.
Really?
Yeah.
All
You
right.
like beer?
Yeah, done. 100%.
It's not like, it was like someone else, it was a notification from my work one saying I'm going to go live.
Oh, yeah.
Chris.
Thanks, man.
The following day, Chris and I were flying back to Adelaide, so we packed our bags, checked out of our apartment, and popped back into the fabric store to pack up some of the dresses and the smocking pleater. We also made our own patchwork square to contribute to the community quilt, as we didn't get a chance to make one on the night. The quilt's going to be sewn together and hung up as a reminder of the event night, and we wanted to add a little piece of us. Thank you to the fabric store for inviting me to be part of such a special event alongside DIY Daisy. It was such a memorable trip for me, and being able to connect with other sewers in real life after years of connecting online was so special, and to see so many people wearing the Sock & Studio patterns on the night was so surreal. I'll share the Instagram profiles in the description of some inspiring sewists I connected with at the event, so you can also follow their sewing journey as well. I hope you enjoyed coming along with us, and if you want to see more behind the scenes of our trip, you can check out a reel we made of the places we visited in the Newtown area. I'll also link that in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Thank you.